Imagine this. Two people stand at the starting line of life. They are given the same 24 hours, the same air to breathe, the same world filled with endless possibilities. One of them rises, wealth accumulates, doors open, opportunities flow effortlessly. The other struggles. Every step feels like wading through quicksand. Every effort meets resistance. And no matter how hard they work, life never seems to reward them. Why? Why is it that wealth seems to follow the wealthy, while poverty clings to those who are already struggling? Why do those who have more continue to gain, while those who have little find even that slipping through their fingers? Jesus, the greatest psychologist of all time, explained this mystery long ago. For to him who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. Matthew 13 verse 12. At first glance, this statement seems cruel, almost unfair. Shouldn't those with little be given more? Shouldn't life work the other way around? But what if this isn't just about money? What if this is a law of the mind? A psychological reality that governs everything from wealth to wisdom, from success to failure. What if your very way of thinking determines whether you enter a cycle of abundance or a cycle of scarcity? Think about it. Two people can receive the same opportunity. One sees potential, acts on it, and multiplies what they have. The other hesitates, doubts, or outright ignores it, convinced that opportunities are for other people, not for them. Two people can have the same amount of money. One invests, leverages, and grows it. The other clings to it in fear, spends it aimlessly, or avoids learning about wealth altogether. Two people can be given the same idea. One executes and turns it into something tangible. The other procrastinates, second guesses, and watches the idea wither and die. This is the hidden truth behind Matthew 13 verse 12. Success builds on success, and failure compounds upon failure. The rich aren't just rich in money. They are rich in mindset, in confidence, in action-taking, in belief. And because of that, wealth gravitates toward them. The poor, on the other hand, are not just poor in money. They are poor in perspective, in courage, in self-worth. And because of that, even what they have seems to vanish before their eyes. This is not just a financial principle. It's a psychological law. The mind operates on momentum. If you believe you are capable, if you act boldly, if you seize opportunities, your mind generates more of those experiences. Your confidence grows. Your actions multiply. You enter a cycle of growth. But if you believe that you are stuck, that wealth is for others, that success is a distant dream, you create a cycle of scarcity. Your own mind rejects the very opportunities that could set you free. This is why the poor stay poor, not just in wealth, but in thought, in behavior, in identity. And the terrifying part? Most people don't even realize it's happening. They will say, I just don't have the same luck. Or, rich people have advantages I don't. Or, I work hard, but nothing ever changes. But the truth? It's not the external world keeping them poor. It's the internal world, their own mind. So the great question arises, how does your mind keep you poor? And more importantly, how do you break free? The answer is hidden deep within the way you think, the subconscious patterns that have been silently controlling your life. Patterns that, until now, you may have never even questioned. And in the next section, we're going to expose them. Think back to childhood. For most, money wasn't something explained. It was something felt. You watched your parents argue about it. You heard phrases like, money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that. You noticed the weight in their voices, the stress in their eyes. Or maybe you grew up hearing the opposite. Rich people are greedy, or too much money changes people. Without realizing it, your mind absorbed these messages like gospel truth. And this is where the trap begins. The human mind is a powerful machine, but it operates on a core principle. What you believe to be true, your mind works tirelessly to prove correct. This is known as confirmation bias, a psychological tendency where we filter the world through the lens of our pre-existing beliefs. If you believe that wealth is out of reach, your mind will selectively ignore opportunities, dismiss financial education, and sabotage success. If you believe money is evil, you will unconsciously push it away, ensuring that you never have too much. This is not just theory, it's a documented reality in psychology. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, famously said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Most people never examine their financial beliefs. They struggle, they fail, they watch wealth slip through their fingers. Then they blame the external world rather than looking within. But what if you were never actually destined to be poor? What if the real problem is that your mind has been programmed to keep you there? The subconscious chains that keep you stuck. There are 3 hidden psychological chains that lock people into financial struggle. 1. The scarcity mindset, the fear of loss. At its core, poverty is not the lack of money. It is the fear of losing what little you have. Poor people don't just lack wealth, they hoard security. They cling to every dollar, hesitant to invest, terrified to take risks. They seek safety, not expansion. But in doing so, they unknowingly trap themselves. Because here's the paradox. Money flows to those who move, who expand, who create. But the moment you hold on in fear, you stop the flow. Jesus illustrated this with the parable of the talents, Matthew 25, verses 14 to 30. 3 servants were given money by their master. 2 invested it and doubled their wealth. The third, out of fear, buried it in the ground. And what happened? His master didn't just leave him with what he had, he took it away. This is the law of the mind. What you fear losing, you strangle. What you refuse to use, you lose. 2. Learned helplessness, the death of initiative. There was a famous psychological experiment conducted by Martin Seligman, a leading figure in behavioral psychology. Dogs were placed in cages with an electric floor. At first, they tried to escape, but after repeated shocks with no way out, they gave up. Even when the doors were later opened, they didn't run. They had learned helplessness. Humans are no different. If you've experienced financial struggle long enough, if every attempt at success has been met with failure, your mind begins to accept poverty as permanent. Even when opportunities appear, you don't reach for them. Even when freedom is within grasp, you stay in the cage. This is why people don't apply for better jobs. This is why people don't start businesses. This is why people don't educate themselves about money. Not because they can't, but because their mind tells them it won't matter. 3. The identity trap. I am poor. This is the deepest and most destructive belief of all. People don't just experience poverty, they identify with it. Your identity is the most powerful force in your psychology. It controls everything you do. If you see yourself as poor, you will subconsciously sabotage anything that contradicts that identity. If someone offers you an investment opportunity, you will say, "That's not for people like me." If you start earning more money, you will unconsciously find ways to spend it back down to your comfort level. This is why lottery winners go bankrupt. This is why people who grow up in poverty often stay there. This is why people who suddenly start making money often feel like frauds. Because wealth is not just about what's in your bank account. It's about who you believe yourself to be. And if your identity is built around struggle, your mind will always find a way to return you there. So now the truth is clear. Your financial reality is not just about the economy, luck, or circumstances. It is about the psychological chains wrapped around your mind. Chains that have been there for years, maybe even generations. And the worst part? Most people never wake up to this reality. They will live their entire lives believing that the system is rigged against them, never realizing that the real prison is inside their own mind. But what if you could break free? What if there was a way to reprogram your thinking, to dismantle these subconscious beliefs, to rewrite the very fabric of your financial destiny? In the next section, we'll expose the unseen consequences of this mindset, the invisible ways it shapes your entire existence, far beyond just money. Because the cost of a poor mindset is far greater than you think. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, open field. In the distance, you see people running, free, unhindered, moving towards something greater. But when you try to step forward, something holds you back. You look down. Around your ankles are chains. But not metal chains, invisible ones. You can't see them, you can't touch them, but you feel their weight. This is what a poverty mindset does to you. It doesn't just affect your bank account. It infects your choices, your confidence, your relationships, your very sense of who you are. It builds a prison so complete that you stop trying to escape, because you no longer realize you're trapped. But here's the terrifying part. This mindset doesn't just keep you poor in money. It keeps you poor in opportunity, poor in confidence, poor in time, poor in relationships, and poor in purpose. And most people never see the full cost until it's too late. 1. The time trap. Why the poor work harder, yet stay behind. Ask the average person why they're broke, and they'll say something like, I just need to work harder. This is the great illusion. Poverty is not just about how much money you have, it's about how you trade your time. The poor exchange time for money. They work more hours, grind endlessly, and hope that if they just put in more effort, things will change. But this is a broken equation, because time is finite. No matter how hard you work, there will always be a ceiling, a point where you can't work any more hours. This is why the rich don't sell time, they buy it. They leverage systems, skills, and investments that multiply their income without demanding more hours. Jesus illustrated this perfectly in Luke 10 verses 38 to 42. Martha was busy, rushing, working, stressed. Mary, on the other hand, was still, absorbing wisdom. Jesus told Martha, You are worried and troubled about many things, but only one thing is necessary. This wasn't just about spiritual focus, it was a lesson in how to think. Some people spend life grinding. Others learn what actually creates abundance. And that brings us to the next hidden consequence. 2. The fear of risk. How the poor trade freedom for security. Imagine two paths. One is safe, predictable, well-worn, no surprises. The other is unpredictable, full of challenges, unknowns, and potential failure. Which do you take? Most people choose the safe road. They cling to security, a steady paycheck, a stable job, the comfort of routine. But what they don't realize is that this path isn't actually safe. It's a trap. The job that pays you today can fire you tomorrow. The pension you trust can disappear. The savings you hoard can be devalued. Meanwhile, those who take risks, who invest, create, and build, are the ones who own the system. Think about the parable of the talents, Matthew 25 verses 14 to 30. The servant who buried his money thought he was being safe. Instead, he lost everything. Because inaction is the greatest risk of all. The poor fear losing money. The rich fear losing opportunity. And that's why one group stays stuck while the other rises. 3. The identity crisis. Why the poor shrink instead of expand. Your identity shapes your destiny. People don't just act poor. They become poor in mind and spirit. They shrink themselves. They stop dreaming. They tell themselves, people like me don't succeed. And the world responds in kind. Psychology calls this self-fulfilling prophecy. What you believe about yourself, you unconsciously make true. This is why you see entire generations stay in poverty. Not because they lack talent, but because they've inherited limiting beliefs. Jesus understood this deeply. When he healed people, he didn't just fix their bodies. He changed their identity. To the crippled man, he said, Get up, take your mat, and walk. John 5 verse 8. To the woman caught in sin, he said, Go, and sin no more. John 8 verse 11. He wasn't just addressing their actions. He was reprogramming their self-perception. And this is exactly what must happen if you want to escape the mental poverty cycle. You must start seeing yourself differently. Because here's the final, most devastating consequence of all. 4. The silent epidemic. Why a poor mindset destroys generations. Poverty is not just personal, it's generational. A poor man does not just live in lack. He passes it down. His children inherit his fears, his scarcity, his mindset. They grow up hearing, money is hard to get. People like us don't succeed. Rich people are corrupt. And so they repeat the cycle. Meanwhile, wealthy families pass down wisdom. They teach their children how to think about money, how to invest, how to create. Those who think in lack will always lose, even what little they have. And this is why your mind is your greatest asset, or your greatest enemy. The urgent wake-up call. At this point, you must ask yourself, how long have these unseen forces been shaping your life? How many opportunities have you missed because you feared risk? How much time have you lost working harder instead of smarter? How many beliefs have you carried that were never truly yours? But here's the good news. Chains can be broken. And in the next section, we will dive into exactly that. How to rebel against the system of mental poverty. How to break free from the psychological chains that have bound you for years. And how to start thinking and living like the wealthy do. Because true wealth doesn't start in the bank. It starts in the mind. Imagine waking up tomorrow with nothing. No money, no resources, no security. Just your mind. No job to rely on. No savings to fall back on. No safety net. What would you do? most people would panic. They'd freeze. They'd feel powerless. But a select few, those who truly understand how wealth is created, would see an opportunity. Because here's the truth no one tells you. You were never meant to rely on external wealth. True wealth is built from within. And if you don't believe that, consider this. There are people who were born rich, yet end up bankrupt. And there are people who were born in the slums, yet rise to fortune. The difference? How they think. Wealth begins in the mind. And if you've been chained by a poverty mindset your whole life, it's time to rebel. Step 1. Kill the scarcity lie. The world is not running out. Scarcity is the greatest illusion ever sold. You were told that resources are limited, that money is hard to get, that opportunity is rare. And yet, money is printed every day. Wealth is created every second. New ideas generate new industries, which create new fortunes. Money is not taken, it is created. The moment you understand this, your entire life changes. Because instead of thinking, how can I get more money? You start asking, how can I create more value? Jesus demonstrated this mindset repeatedly. When he needed to feed 5,000 people, did he worry about scarcity? No. He took 5 loaves and 2 fish, blessed them, and multiplied them. Matthew 14 verses 13 to 21. Wealth is not a fixed pie. It expands when you shift from a mindset of getting to a mindset of creating. The poor compete. The rich create. And that brings us to the second act of rebellion. Step 2. Stop selling time. Start building assets. As long as you exchange time for money, you will always be trapped. Because time is finite. This is why the poor work the hardest, yet stay stuck. They hustle, they grind, they work long hours, but their income is capped. The rich play a different game. They build assets. An asset is anything that makes money without requiring your time. It could be a business. It could be an investment. It could be a book, a course, a product, or even intellectual property. Every wealthy person you admire has mastered this one principle. Money should work for you, not the other way around. This is why Jesus constantly used parables about investment. In the parable of the talents, Matthew 25 verses 14 to 30, the master gave 3 servants money. The first 2 multiplied what they were given. The third, he buried it, fearing loss. And what happened? The master took his money and gave it to the one who had multiplied the most. Because money flows toward those who multiply it. You have to break free from the employee mindset and start thinking like a creator, an investor, a builder. And that requires the next rebellion. Step 3. Destroy the fear of risk. Comfort is the enemy. Do you want to know why most people stay poor? Because they're too afraid to fail. They fear losing money, looking stupid, making mistakes. So they stay comfortable. They avoid risk. They cling to safe jobs, secure incomes, and predictable routines. But here's the truth. Comfort is the enemy of success. You cannot grow and stay comfortable at the same time. And deep down, you already know this. Think about the Apostle Peter. When Jesus was walking on water, Peter had a choice. Stay in the boat comfortable but limited, or step onto the water risky but powerful. He stepped out, and for a moment, he walked on water. Fear only drowns you when you hesitate. The most successful people are not the ones who avoid risk. They are the ones who manage risk, take calculated action, and learn quickly. Because failure is never final, unless you quit. And that leads to the final, most crucial rebellion of all. Step 4. Rewrite your identity. You are not who you were. The reason most people stay poor is because they believe they are poor, not just in money, but in worth. They carry deep, subconscious programming from childhood. Maybe they were told, people like us don't get rich. If you keep seeing yourself as broke, struggling, and limited, you will act accordingly. But the moment you start seeing yourself as capable, wealthy, and powerful, your actions change. And when your actions change, your results follow. Your personal revolution starts now. At this point, you have 2 choices. 1, you can stay the same, believing the same lies, repeating the same habits, living the same life. Or 2, you can rebel. Rebel against scarcity thinking. Rebel against selling your time. Rebel against fear. Rebel against the old version of you that was too afraid to step up. Because the truth is, no one is coming to save you. There is no lottery ticket, no magic shortcut, no government program that will suddenly make you rich. You are your only way out. And the moment you take full ownership of that truth, You become unstoppable. But there's still one final revelation. Something even deeper than mindset shifts and financial principles. Something that separates those who rise forever from those who fall back into the trap. And in the next section, we will uncover the final, ultimate truth. A truth so powerful that once you see it, you can never go back. Imagine this. You wake up one morning with everything you ever wanted. The dream house, the luxury car, the bank account overflowing with wealth. You've broken free from the poverty mindset. You've mastered the laws of money. You've built assets, multiplied resources, and taken full control of your life. But then, something unsettling happens. A whisper in the back of your mind. Is this it? At first, you ignore it. You tell yourself, I should be happy. I have everything I worked for. But the more you sit with your success, the louder the question becomes. If money was the problem, why do I still feel empty? And this is where most people fall. Because they spent their entire lives believing wealth was the final destination, only to arrive and realize it's not. They climbed the mountain of financial freedom, only to find themselves alone at the top. Because they solved the money problem, but they never solved the soul problem. The hidden truth. Money is a tool, not the answer. Here's what no one tells you. Money can solve your external problems, but it can never heal your internal wounds. It can buy you comfort, but not peace. It can buy you admiration, but not love. It can buy you entertainment, but not purpose. And this is why some of the wealthiest people in history still ended up depressed, addicted, or suicidal. Because they escaped financial poverty, but they never escaped spiritual poverty. And this is the ultimate trap. A trap so dangerous that even Jesus warned about it. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, yet lose his soul? Mark 8 verse 36. The world tells you that money is the goal, that if you just get enough, everything will be okay. But what if the world is wrong? What if real freedom has nothing to do with money at all? The highest form of wealth, mastering the inner world. The greatest secret the rich never tell you is this. Wealth isn't about numbers. It's about control. Not control over the world. Not control over other people. Control over yourself. Because the richest person isn't the one with the biggest bank account. It's the one who is free from fear, free from greed, free from ego, free from the endless, exhausting need for more. Look at history. The kings and emperors who conquered nations, yet died miserable. The billionaires who owned everything, yet lost their families, their peace, their sanity. The celebrities who had the world's attention, yet overdosed alone in a hotel room. Because they had outer wealth, but no inner wealth. And inner wealth is the only wealth that cannot be taken from you. The mindset of the truly free. Jesus understood this better than anyone. That's why he told people, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Matthew 6 verses 19 to 20. At first glance, this sounds like a rejection of wealth. But it's not. It's a warning. Because everything external is fragile. Money can disappear overnight. A business can collapse. An economy can crash. And if your entire identity is built on external wealth, you will collapse with it. But when your wealth is internal, when your foundation is built on something deeper than money, nothing can shake you. This is why some people can lose millions and bounce back stronger. And why others crumble after losing a job. Because real power isn't in the money itself. It's in the mindset that creates it. How to achieve ultimate freedom. If you want to break free, not just from financial poverty, but from all poverty, then you must master 3 things. 1. The power to let go. The poor chase money because they fear losing it. The rich attract money because they know they can always create more. And the truly wealthy? They understand that whether they have millions or nothing, their value never changes. They are free because they are not owned by what they own. 2. The power to serve. The highest form of wealth isn't accumulation, it's contribution. Think of the people who are remembered in history. Not just the richest, but the ones who changed the world. Jesus, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr., they weren't the wealthiest in dollars, but they were the richest in impact. Because they understood something the world ignores. The more you give, the more you receive. And this isn't just spiritual, it's psychological. Studies in neuroscience show that generosity triggers deep states of happiness and fulfillment, that the brain is wired for meaning over money. And this is why the highest level of wealth isn't just having more, it's giving more. 3. The power to choose your own reality. The greatest lie ever told is that you have to play by the world's rules, that you have to be a slave to money, that you have to seek approval, that you have to measure your worth by how much you own. But what if you don't? What if you woke up tomorrow and decided, I am already rich, not because of what's in my bank account, but because I am free, free from fear, free from doubt, free from the illusion that money is the goal rather than the tool. This is the final step to breaking free. Because the most powerful person is not the one with the most wealth, it's the one who no longer needs it. The final realization, you were never poor. Here's the truth, you were never poor. You were simply taught to think that you were. You were told that wealth is about numbers, that money is scarce, that success is a ladder you must climb. But now, you know better. Wealth is created, not taken. The mind is the source of all riches. Fear is the only real poverty. And when you master yourself, the world follows. Because the moment you stop chasing money and start creating value, wealth flows effortlessly. The moment you stop fearing loss, you become unstoppable. The moment you stop playing by the world's rules, you become truly free. And that is the ultimate truth. The truth that breaks every chain. The truth that sets you free.
Thanks for tuning in to Sparktopus Think. The journey doesn't stop here. Join us next time as we keep exploring, one episode at a time. Don't conform to the patterns of this world. Instead, renew your mind and be transformed. Subscribing is simple. Hit that button so you never miss an episode. Drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like and spread the word with your friends and family. At Sparktopus Think, we're all about sparking meaningful conversations, challenging perspectives, and aligning with God's truth. Until next time, keep thinking, keep growing, and keep transforming.